means it's good. Mutant City Horror. Mathius still rated PG. It's cracking. So what's up?
What's up, man? Why don't you tell us, what are we doing here today?
We're doing a whole bunch of stuff. We're drinking. We're watching movies. Typical Mutant City Horror shit. Excited to bring a little bit of a... let's see if I can get this mic close to me well enough. First and foremost, we are here in Casa de Matt. Just changing it up a little bit in an effort to continue to try to push out content more frequently. We're trying to be a little bit more streamlined with, getting our calendars in sync and whatnot. So that means sometimes doing my house, his house, Zoom, whatever it is. So hopefully we can start pushing this shit out a lot faster for everybody.
Absolutely.
But just coming off of our CreepyCon / Bad Biology review, we teased a little bit in the end that we had a little bit, a little nice little nugget coming for all the kids at home. And so what we're doing is we're starting a 3-part miniseries tonight. You had the idea of naming the series, right?
Yes, sir.
Hey, let's break it up from from our typical, per episode kind of thing, and let's name this little venture that we're having to kind of make it something a little bit different. The name that you came up with was what initially?
I called it a horror-a-thon, but I actually thought about that while I was outside.
Can you say it again?
Horror-a-thon.
Yeah,
I know. It doesn't exactly roll off the tongue. But I don't know. Monster? I don't know.
Monster Jam? I don't know. So whatever name you want to come up with that best describes a miniseries, I'm cool with that.
We'll come up with something and put it in the title logo. But this seems like a pretty good idea. This was my man PG's idea to put this together. A special multi-episode focal point, I guess you can call it. And what are we focusing on? Do you know?
Well, we talked a little bit last episode about how horror is kind of a small world, right? Where we met Matthew St. Matthews, who is in a movie coming out that was also in that stars Patty Mullen, who played Frankenhooker, directed by the same person who directed Bad Biology. And so we liked the idea of kind of connecting the dots in that way. And so earlier in the year, when we were, going through some movies and trying to figure out what we were going to be watching for upcoming episodes, I came across a movie called The Brain, which is available on Amazon Prime. And The Brain doesn't have a lot of big names in it, but it does have one actor by the name of David Gale, which we'll get into in a minute. But so some of the hardcore fans might recognize that name. And he is a doctor. He plays a doctor in The Brain, but he also plays a doctor in another little movie called Reanimator. I don't know have you heard the Reanimator?
Yes, sir.
Okay, cool.
Yeah, I do know Reanimator.
Yeah. And so not only did I come across The Brain, but I also came across a movie called Castle Freak, which is directed by Stuart Gordon, who also directed Reanimator.
Yes, sir.
And so we thought it'd be cool to just kind of walk that path a little bit, even though I think we started a little out of order. So I think between at least Reanimator and The Brain, Reanimator came first, and then The Brain came second. I think 85 and 88 respectively. So we thought we'd start with something that we haven't seen first and foremost. So that's with The Brain. And then I think we're going to segue into Castle Freak, which is not a clean segue because The Brain is directed by Ed Hunt.
Okay.
That
I didn't know. Yeah.
So he's noted for a couple other things, but the only other connection it has to the Stuart Gordon films is that it's got David Gale in it, which he plays the doctor in The Brain, and then he also plays the doctor in Reanimator. So it makes sense to go The Brain, Reanimator, and then Castle Freak. I don't know where Castle Freak lies in the order. But I know that Reanimator comes before the Brain.
I think Reanimator probably comes before Castle Freak as well. Just random insight here. Turns out that an actress that was on Reanimator has been in a couple movies with Herbert West, aka why am I drawing a blank here?
Come on, Matt, you can do it.
I got this. No, I'm blank.
Jeffrey Combs.
Jeffrey Combs. I'm sorry, Jeffrey Combs. I love you. Always have. You're an awesome guy. Barbara Crampton also played in Reanimator with him. She also played in 2 other movies with him, in fact. Castle Freak being one of them.
Right.
And the other one was From Beyond. Another H.P. Lovecraft. We'll probably cover it somewhere in this podcast and stuff because we like these kind of movies. So, that was just a random tidbit. Has nothing to do with what we're talking about today, but I just thought I'd throw that in there.
Yeah. All right. So, kind of coming full circle, starting a 3-part miniseries, started with the Brain, and somewhere we'll work in Reanimator and Castle Freak. So, tell me. I guess we'll start with a little bit about what the Brain is. Directed by Ed Hunt, 1988. Ed Hunt. I don't know. I tried to do some research on him. Some of his other movies are kind of considered out there as well. He gets kind of measured up against Cronenberg a lot in some of the reviews that I was reading online. I haven't seen any of his other movies, but there's one called The Alien Warrior, which I believe is some kind of like an alien comes from another planet to help kill evil spirits on Earth, but apparently there's like some religious overtones to it with the Jesus of coming to Earth and saving people from their sins. I saw some clips of it online.
That sounds extra. It sounds awesome.
It looks good. Yeah.
I guess I could see the relevance between him and Cronenberg. Actually, it turns out Cronenberg is, he weighs heavy a lot on as an atheist, believe it or not. And if you notice, most of his films are about science rather than supernatural beings. He doesn't do things about ghosts and stuff like that. I don't know why I found that interesting, but I could see the comparison what you're talking about here because Cronenberg is literally the godfather of like body horror, or I guess that's what you would call it, right? Like body horror. You look at some of the stuff he does; it's just it's way off. I mean, for example, Cronenberg made The Fly. If you guys remember that, it was a remake back in the 80s, if I'm correct.
The Jeff Goldblum one. A lot of people believe the Jeff Goldblum version of The Fly is the original. Well, in fact, that it was shot in 50 something. Like it was old black and white. I don't remember the year that it was shot.
Right. It was actually a very, very similar to the take of The Thing by John Carpenter, because he actually, in a way, remade The Thing from outer space. But it almost like this whole Cronenberg situation, it's almost like he adopted the idea for himself, gave it a new, fresh look, and now that's what we see as the one to go to, you know. Forgot where I was going with that. I'm sorry. It had something to do with The Fly.
Fucking all them drinks.
I got this. All right. Real quick. Do you know who produced The Fly? Who funded the money for The Fly?
The 80s version?
Just found this out. Yeah. Cronenberg's.
Is it a person or like a group?
Oh, it's a person. It's a person that's very...
Give me a hint.
Oh, dude. He's Jewish.
Okay, that just narrows it down to like all of Hollywood. Thank you. I can say that because I'm Jewish.
That's why I looked at you when I said it. Dude, okay. It's a Jewish guy. You wouldn't think you would ever see his name on anything of this kind.
Ben Stiller.
No. Think older.
His father, Jerry Stiller.
That's a good one, but no. That's
Hold on,
really good.
old Jew that I wouldn't think.
One that's very familiar.
Jerry Lewis?
No.
Damn it.
Another good one, though. But it's one that we're very familiar with, and you're going to be blown away when we make this attachment. I know I was when I heard about it.
Okay, go.
Mel Brooks.
Get the fuck out of here.
No.
Are you serious?
Yeah, I'm dead serious. So I looked into this, and it turns out that Mel Brooks is actually a fan of science fiction. And when he heard about The Fly being made, he was on top of it. This was because, Mel Brooks, we know him as the parody guy. He made Spaceballs,
Spaceballs, the toilet paper.
Like this guy, Blazing Saddles and shit.
Where all the white women at?
I'll never forget, dude, Gene Wilder's greatest line ever when he's hanging upside down and Bart goes up to him. He's all, "Are we awake?" And he's all, "We're awake. I don't know. Are we black?" And then Bart goes, "Yes, we are." He's all, "Then we're awake," but very confused. Because he's wearing the sheriff thing. If you guys haven't seen Blazing Saddles, give it a try, man. You know what?
Come on. What are you doing with your life?
This whole cancel culture
Get your shit
thing,
together.
man, it's really putting a damper on things and stuff like that. But if you can take the humor, dude, Blazing Saddles is a really, really fun ride. Great man.
So,
Great man.
Ed Hunt, Cronenbergish, or at least gets kind of associated with Cronenberg. He's got a couple movies under his belt that I think I want to see. Alien Warrior is one of them. Another one called Point of No Return. Starship Invasions, just doing some light reading on the internet. That one gets some good reviews. But the one that comes up a lot is a movie called Bloody Birthday from 1981. One article I read called it kind of just Lord of the Flies, but with a lot more violence. So I'm kind of down with that.
Nice.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So we'll see what happens there.
Yeah.
But kid grew up in LA, was studying biology or chemical biology, or I don't know. He was some kind of aspiring scientist.
This is the one that made the movie that we're talking
Yeah.
about.
Then he got
that
bored.
makes a lot of sense. Actually.
Moved to Canada and started doing filmmaking. And he started out like any other person would, just fucking in the grind.
Like we're doing here.
Set direction, plus, set, not even direction, just helping set up sets, doing lighting, holding boom mics. Like, he started at the literal bottom in the industry and then just kind of worked his way up to writing and directing his own shit. So I love hearing stories like that because it gives us, some glimmer and some hope, and that maybe one day this thing that we're doing, on the budget that we have and the resources that we're trying to put together, will turn into something bigger and better down the road.
Something more beautiful and amazing.
So let's talk about the movie itself, right?
Absolutely.
1988. It's not his first movie. He's got a lot of good movies under his belt before this one. Alien Warrior in 86, Bloody Birthday in 81, UFOs Are Real in 79, Starship Invasions in 70. So he's come along. And he gets to this point where he makes this movie. He's got David Gale in it, which is a big name. Again, Reanimator came in 85. So, a nice kind of nugget to have in the movie, if you will. What is this movie about, Matt?
Well, I mean, I figure I'd leave that up to you because you're the one that shared this one. And I figure, why not, give it a shot.
We just watched it. Okay. So give me your kind of, your 2 cents on it.
Well, for one,
summarize it, I guess.
Summarize it.
I'm drunk. I've been drinking.
So have I. And I got to work tonight. Whew.
Careful. Don't your coworkers see this shit?
Just one. Who's
He's
not
not your
going
boss,
to give a
is
shit.
it? Okay,
No,
cool.
he ain't got Dano. This is for you, buddy.
Daryl, real quick, it's not whiskey tonight because I got to leave his house, so I got to calm myself. Otherwise, it'd be whiskey.
And we're sorry we didn't bring the Dippy Bird.
No, fuck that shit. I brought it.
Oh my God, are you fucking kidding me?
Dude, I told you. Integral part of every fucking episode. I was just waiting till later to bust it out. There you go.
Mr. Dippy Bird.
Anyways.
Okay, brief summary. Okay, from what I took from this, it's anything along the lines of mind manipulation. I'd say if it was like today, it would be like the internet and stuff. But from this time, it's more about the TV. Whatever the TV says is what goes.
Well, walk us through a recap of the movie so the kids at home know what you're talking about.
Okay, so without that, it has something to do with manipulating minds, mind control, and ultimately, it's like a small project that will grow into a worldwide one. They're testing something out. They're trying to manipulate a population of a town, and see where things go. But it turns out that they have a brain that is in control of all this, that's actually getting smarter, it's getting bigger, and it's evolving, and it's actually growing out of control. That's kind of what I gathered from it. That's, I guess, my synopsis of this film. I don't.
So, all right. Yeah, that's good. Yeah, I don't know. That's about accurate. So, the way that the movie starts, it opens up on this woman watching TV. She's watching this show called Independent Thinkers. And the host of the show is Reanimator's own David Gale, playing a doctor, scientist, go figure, typecast maybe. And he is hosting this show that's all about encouraging people to like be free, independent thinkers, and encouraging them and saluting them for being kind of that way, right? And so this mom calls her daughter. She's like, hey, come watch this show with me. And the daughter at the top of the stairs is looking down on the TV and just like very creepily is like, no, I get enough of him during the week. Which, like, I was like, does she work for him? Is she dating him? Like, what is the connection?
Well, this is the blonde one, right?
No, this is in the very beginning. The dark-haired girl.
That's right.
Yeah.
Okay.
So she turns around, goes back into her bedroom, and the opening scene in this movie is fucking kick-ass, right? Because you see her go back into the room. She's applying her makeup, which, and then they kind of are panning out, and they show you kind of the makeup of her room, if you will, and it's got, typical 80s shit around, but it had this kick-ass poster of these guys and like on the beach, all six-pack rips, fucking abs and Speedos. And Matt was the one who pointed out that one of the guys was wearing a one-piece bikini. We had to fucking rewind it and look at it because the dude was in a one-piece bikini. Hopefully I can post some footage of that.
Yeah, I was going to say, you got to find that.
Yeah,
find that
take
image,
a screenshot
dude.
or something. Yeah.
Well, we'll show you guys. Holy shit. Like, I never... Whatever.
And then
it's the 80s.
On the side of her where she's doing her makeup, she's got this little like dish or whatever that's got all this white powder in it. Now it's the 80s, so I'm thinking that's her little cocaine stash or whatever. And it starts to puffer and smoke, and she's looking at it, and then this teddy bear starts to bleed blood from its eyes, and she starts
Cute teddy
freaking
bear,
out.
by
Dude,
the way.
Yeah.
Must say.
And then she's freaking out, and the room is starting to come in on itself, and the walls are closing in on her. This fucking tentacles are breaking out through the walls, and it's, trying to attack her. And it's just this awesome fucking scene where, like, hopefully setting the tone and the pace for the movie. I think you even made a comment where you're like,
talk
dude,
about
it's off to a
setting
great
the
start.
tone. Yeah, setting the tone. It went from 0 to 100 real quick. You know, we're seeing creature effects and everything within the first 5 minutes of the film. I already truly adore that. You know, thank you for that. You know,
So this is 88, right? So
Right.
like not a lot of computer. There's no CGI. In
oh
this
no,
movie.
this is all prosthetics,
All
puppeteering,
100%.
and everything. You know,
In all of the work that went into the prosthetics and the creature, dude, fucking awesome, man.
it's still not dated today. I believe. I mean that brain was pretty cool looking.
Yeah, 100%.
And I'm sorry to those as being such a huge horror fan that I've never seen this movie, but believe it or not, I've never seen this movie before. I knew about it. It's weird.
Well, here part of the reason is it's all shot in Canada, which is funny because some of the stuff that I was reading online was saying that the movie is intended to be take place in California, which if you think about the whole movie, was there any reference to California?
No, it looked very Canadian.
Right, 100%.
But
And
I didn't
it turns
actually
out-
realize that Canadians celebrated Christmas. No, I'm just kidding. Sorry. It took place during the Christmas season, I might add. Fucking Terrence and Phillip would be pissed off. I'm just kidding.
So, it takes place it's shot in Canada. It's supposed to take place in California. The cop uniforms look like they're New York cops. I think even
With
in
patches
one of the
ripped
scenes,
off.
yes. But I think in one of the earlier scenes, the cop car had a fucking New York City police logo on it. No, you know what it was? Is the main dude, I don't remember his name, Jim? He drives this like old Cadillac or whatever, and it's got New York license plates. And the cop cars have Canadian license plates. And so there's absolutely zero to allude to the fact that this is taking place in California. But nonetheless, the whole movie is shot in Canada, released in Canada, and then shortly thereafter just kind of fizzled away. It picked up a little steam, but not enough to like go full market, international, anything like that. So not directly a straight to DVD or VHS, but it had a very short-lived theater run, and then it just went to VHS, and that was kind of it. So
that's why I didn't capture it back in the days and stuff like that, because it probably wasn't released until way
more
later.
of a Canadian release.
Right.
Yeah.
Right.
But so movie starts with this opening kick-ass scene, kind of setting the pace and the tone for the rest of the movie. We get introduced to the brain, and then we get introduced to the main character. And it turns out what's happening as this main character is driving to school, he's listening to the radio, and they're talking about how there's been all these weird random deaths over the last kind of week or two, and nobody can figure out what's happening. And then this kid goes to school, and he drops a fucking big ass chunk of pure sodium in the toilet, kind of like the old cherry bomb in the toilet. I guess in Canada they just use sodium instead of cherry bombs like we do in the States. Whatever.
Well, that sodium did a number on their plumbing,
which is funny because it blew up the plumbing, right? So
Right,
I was reading when I was reading up on the movie, somebody had commented, "Am I the only one who finds it weird that this dude drops a big ass brick of sodium in the toilet, and it causes the plumbing to explode, but not just the toilets, but the drinking fountain of the administrator who was drinking out of the fountain. So does that mean that all of that plumbing is connected and that guy was drinking toilet water out of the water fountain?" I was like, that's fucking gross.
Well, let's just
but
hope
also
it's
like
filtered.
a little bit of a head
Right.
Fucking acid.
No, I believe. No, I'm not. I'm not in any way not a carpenter. What's the word I'm looking for? House builder, or
Golfer.
Shut the fuck.
Plumber.
A guy
Plumber?
who makes buildings. Okay, plumber. Let's just say a plumber. I don't know, but I believe that plumbing lines run along with water lines, like brother and sister. I don't know.
I don't know.
I don't fucking know. That's
It
like
doesn't
a
matter.
conundrum for like a Seinfeld.
The part that matters is that dude gets in trouble. The administrators are there to see this whole thing go down. They know it was him. They call the parents into a meeting, which was odd to me because during this whole meeting with the parents and the student, Jim was like he was like defending himself like he was his own lawyer. The parents just sat there, didn't say fucking shit, and the principal's telling them what's gonna happen, and I don't know, it was super weird. But
mind you that the dad, remember, looked to me almost like Aaron Eckhart, right? That's the name.
Yeah.
But did you notice that by the end of it, when you saw his profile, he almost looked like Andy Samberg?
No, I didn't notice.
It was just weird to me. I'm sorry, it went all over the place, but go on.
So the kid gets in trouble. He's on the brink of suspension, which means he won't graduate. So the principal says, I got this other idea. I'm going to send you over to the doctor who runs this place called Psychological Research Institute, PRI, who's also the host of the show Independent Thinkers. And
played by
David Gale.
David
from
Gale.
Reanimator. Yep.
Okay, let me tell you this right before you get into what you were saying. I swear to God, I don't know why I did this. I'm sorry, fans. For some reason, David Gale and Christopher Lee always mix signals with me. Like I know they're not the same person, but I swear to God, they sound the same. They're both British. I don't know if they both have bad teeth, but whatever the case is, but like they just they remind me a lot of each other. I don't know what it is.
All right.
Yeah, it's strange. And then they follow the same genre. It's always like horror and stuff. And for Christopher Lee, you jump up to like Star Wars status, but that's a tale for another time. I'm sorry, go on.
Dooku? Count Dooku, right?
Yeah.
Anyways. The kid's reluctant to go see the doctor to get help regarding his behavior because this place is fucking weird. And he knows, the whole town kind of knows that his show is weird. People act weird when they watch the show. He's just not into it. But he wants to graduate too. So he's like, fuck it. If that's what I got to do, then that's what I got to do. So he ends up going to the appointment. He sits down. And that's kind of when we start seeing what's really happening at this PRI place where...
it's already mindfuckery. It's already mindfuckery. I'm sorry.
No, it's cool. It's weird because when you see the audience, they look zombified, right? Mm-hmm. And you don't really know what's happening. But in this scene where he comes to the office for the first time to be seen by the doctor, Jim, you get to see the brain and you get to see the brain's interaction with Jim. So they sit him down. They put I don't know what those fucking things are called. They look like the little square stickies that they put on you at the hospital.
They're those electrode things that you put to measure like brain waves and stuff like that. They monitor. Well, I don't know if in the case that in this movie they monitor. I think it was more like connecting them straight to the brain. But
they're
like electrodes. Let's put it that way.
It's establishing a connection between the person sitting in the chair, which is Jim, and then the brain, which is sitting in the other room in like the world's largest petri dish.
Yeah. Okay.
And what's happening is the brain is trying to connect, trying to send hypnotic brain waves to Jim to, kind of do his bidding and make him another zombie like the rest of the town. And it's not working. They're running some tests and it's not working. Rejection. And the brain talks to the doctor. What's his name here? Dr. Blakely. Blakely? Yeah, Dr. Blakely.
And that's
that's David Gale. Yeah. And he's through a monitor or like a kind of like a teleprompter, and he sends his thoughts and it comes up on screen, and he's telling him, "Hey, I can't send my hypnotic brainwaves to this kid. So what's going to happen is he's going to correct.
He just kept
he's going to hallucinate, and which we find later in the movie when you're not receptive to those hypnotic brainwaves, you hallucinate, which explains the opening scene. The girl was hallucinating that whole thing and ended up killing her mother. Spoiler alert.
Spoiler.
And so they can't do anything with him, so they send him home. He goes on. Well, he does hallucinate a little bit, right? Because then he sees the nurse where she's like no shirt on, she's topless, she's trying to like.
It found his weak point.
Is that what it was? Yeah, that's a good way of saying it.
I don't know if that was intentional in the writing, but I will tell you this, and just based off of what you were saying and stuff like that, you actually made me think. This movie did pay a lot of attention to detail as far as the element of psychosis goes.
Well, it's funny you say that because I want to get there, but I still want to kind of describe what's happening, and then we can go back and fill that in.
Yeah, let's do that.
So the kid leaves. He realizes, they're fucking with him, and he starts to hallucinate on the ride home, and he crashes his car, and he goes to see his girlfriend at the burger joint, and he starts to
talk about
hallucinate.
the car explosion.
Oh my God. The fucking car went like this, and then fucking blew up. Just like the biggest explosion you can see in a movie. It just like...
I wouldn't say biggest. Maybe biggest first time. I don't know. I even made a comment about it. It was just kind of funny because, we're used to seeing like big time action, high velocity explosions, all kinds of stuff, and we're looking at this. It's like a Cracker Barrel fire or something. It's just boom, and then for no reason, as he's walking away from this car, seemingly unharmed, there's a second explosion, a little pop. And I don't know why that got to me. It's just like, like the director was going like, "Hey, demolition guy, come on, what the fuck? You're sitting on it." He's like, "Oh yeah, hold on, here it goes, boom. Let's hit it with one more." Anyways, go on. I just like that little explosion. It was funny.
So he gets to his girlfriend's work, the burger joint. Mm-hmm. They're, tripping out on him because he's tripping out. They told him not to go to PRI. Nobody liked the idea of it. He's sitting in the back room. He's trying to compose himself, starts hallucinating again, starts fighting this phantom brain that nobody else can see. And so everybody thinks he's tripping.
What an epic fight that was, too.
Yeah, right?
Epic fight with nothing.
And then out of nowhere, a cop shows up because I guess the car had blown up, and so he was looking for him.
The same creepy cop that spied on him when he was, trying to get it on with his chick in the middle of the forest. We didn't even talk about that scene. Hold on.
Yeah, no.
I have to go. Let me just relive that for a minute. I just thought it was funny, okay? So he's trying to bang his girlfriend in this car, right? In the middle of the forest out of nowhere. Two of his friends try to prank him, which I just don't see the connection there. I mean, come on, this is like some backwoods bullshit and stuff like that. You telling me these people just sat there waiting for him until it happened? And all of a sudden, as they scared the living daylights out of these people, ultimately cock-blocking our main man, Jim, from getting what he needs to get, this creepy cop just comes out of nowhere, who happens to be doing the same thing, just trudging along the dense woodland. No squad car in sight. I just thought I'd bring that up.
If you're going to bring that up, we have to bring up the fact that Jim parked his car in the park next to the lake where there's no parking. Like, it looked like he just drove straight in there and just parked whatever the fuck he wanted to park. I only bring that up because it's a reoccurring theme in the movie.
Yeah.
Unintentional for sure, but still we noticed.
We noticed. We saw what you were doing.
So Jim's tripping out at the burger joint. The cop shows up. They're trying to, take him in. And then the nurse from PRI shows up. And I don't mean like a female, young, hot nurse like the one he was hallucinating about. This is a big ass burly dude with like a fucking goatee and beard, and like he's a ruffian. Your nephew actually was the one who pointed it out. Said he looked like what's his name, Hopper from Stranger Things.
Oh my God, did he nail it or what, dude?
Totally.
And
how old's your nephew?
You just put. God damn it! You just put me on blast. I want to say 11.
Sure. Okay.
Should I text my sister?
No. It's all right. It's all right. But it was good on him for making that connection.
I noticed something about him tonight. He actually, yes, I let my 11-year-old nephew watch this movie with us. And you know what? When the titties popped up, I told him he don't need to close his eyes. It's all right.
He did anyways, though. I looked over and he was looking away. He didn't close his eyes, but he was looking away. He knew better.
He closed his eyes in a way it was like this. Well played, sir. Well played. But you know what? Yeah. When he said that, holy shit, did he nail that?
Yeah.
I was like, yeah. If you add 300 pounds to
Yeah.
Hopper from
Okay, so yeah, the Hobbit. Sorry, I didn't mean to cut you off.
no, go for it.
So the nurse is played by an actor named George Buza, Buza.
Okay.
You recognized him from one place. Where'd you recognize him from?
I recognized him from a movie called A Christmas Horror Story.
Or is it a horror Christmas story?
A Christmas Horror Story. Wait, I don't know. It's one of the two. One we're probably going to cover.
Fact checking you right now. Calm down.
Yeah, one we're probably going to cover on this podcast at some point. Or
A Christmas
another
Horror
and stuff.
Story.
It was actually
2015.
It was fairly decent. I'm not going to lie. I actually really thoroughly enjoyed it. It was an anthology film, different stories, but they all tied together somehow with Santa Claus and the elves and Krampus. So it's something that we would definitely need to visit. But yeah, he played Santa Claus in that movie, and I knew I had seen him, and you know, my buddy here, PG, I had mentioned to him, I was like, damn, I seen that guy before, and I couldn't fucking put my finger on it, and then all of a sudden, I just pictured him with a gray beard, and I was like, oh, Santa Claus. So
Now, what did I mention when you said that though?
you also mentioned that he was in something else that we
wouldn't
recognize.
Yeah, so he actually does voiceover work.
Oh, okay.
And he did the voice of Beast from the 90s version of X-Men.
Dude, when you said Beast, I was already sold. I watched X-Men. I swear, was that not like a fucking soap opera for like 16-year-olds and shit, dude?
Yep.
We were so sucked in, dude.
When Disney Plus first came out and it was on there,
Fucking A, dude.
I was on that shit.
Oh, dude, I downloaded that shit a long time ago.
Oh,
but I
yeah.
forgot where I put that shit anyway.
I don't do that.
But yeah, we don't do that. We don't.
Someone
steal-
gave it to
we
you
don't-
by accident.
Yeah,
right?
yeah.
That's what it was.
Yeah, it was gifted to me.
So, Buza, known as Verna, Verna is the name that's his nurse name on the movie, shows up, doses him, gets him in the car, takes him back to PRI, and then he wakes up in some fucking cold room, and we're talking about Jim, and he happens to get out, and he starts to make his way out of the building, which, for those of you who play video games at home, I told my man Mathius here, that whole building, which like if you like see in the beginning of the movie, if you guys watch it, which you should, it looks like a space age, like bubbly type building.
Very
It's
curvy.
actually the Xerox headquarters, I think, in Canada. Weird that it was already like formed that way. It wasn't made for the movie.
It's a very strange looking building. It would be equivalent to me what like a NASA test site would look like or something.
In the 80s, yeah, I get it.
You know, like more of an office building for somebody like them. It was definitely offbeat, but I really did like the building. I liked the structure.
Well, I was telling my boy here that with the way the building was laid out, with some of the internal shots, some of the stairways and hallways, the way that, kind of dealt with mind control and hallucination. It reminds me of the video game Control, which I started
For you
playing a little
gamers
bit.
out there.
And so, like, I don't know, because I made that correlation, I was into the movie a little bit more. But yeah, just kind of a weird assimilation there.
No, that was a good one though. Like, because as you brought that up, I was revisiting actual like aspects of that game, and I was like, "Holy shit, you were totally dead on with that too, man."
So,
a lot of epiphanies during this viewing, by the way.
He's running around trying to get out of the building. His friends come and save him. One of his friends gets eaten by the brain, which the fucking thing eats. The sexy nurse from earlier was also eaten by the brain. And like as the brain is eating people, it's starting to evolve and grow.
Bye nice titties.
So they break out and they escape, and chases ensue and weird things are happening. Jim and his girlfriend kind of make it, almost, I would consider like halfway out of town. They get pulled over, a cop shows up, then the nurse shows up again, and they're on the run, and they decide to go hide out in the school because it's Saturday, no one's going to be there. They can
And
lay
it's
low.
Canada, and they leave their doors unlocked.
Yeah. Yeah.
I just learned that on Bowling from Columbine. I don't know if they still do that shit. But
I
anyway.
forgot about that.
Right? All right.
On their way to the school, they're cutting through the neighborhoods. They end up at the principal's house, which is ironic because This is the whole reason all of this shit is happening in the first place. The principal recommended he go to PRI. But the principal's wife is watching Independent Thinkers, and that's when they're starting to realize that Independent Thinkers is just kind of a catalyst for brainwashing. They're figuring out that the show is manipulating people through the airwaves, turning them into zombies, and kind of convincing them that what is happening or what the doctor is saying in the show is, true, and people are starting to believe everything. So the doctor comes on and in an attempt to get ahead of what's happening, starts painting Jim as the bad guy, and he's on the loose, and he's out there killing people, and he's acting on his own independently so PRI can look nice and pretty. So this awesome scene where the principal's wife is watching the show, and the doctor through the show is talking, saying, "Hey, you should get your husband to watch the show. He's not a good husband if he doesn't watch the show. You should have him watch the show." So she fucking goes out, tries to talk to him, and he's like, "I don't want to do that shit. I'm out here cutting logs with my chainsaw," which is,
I guess it's a Canada thing.
I mean, he was just on his deck cutting logs, like, I don't know, whatever.
In all fairness, this is 1988. No smartphones, no nothing like that. In fact, your biggest screen TV is probably only 12 inches. So yeah, you spend your days doing what you know how to do. I guess in this guy's aspect is cutting wood in the backyard.
So she goes out there, tries to convince him. He's like, "Nah, bitch, I don't want to do that shit." Like, I mean, he didn't say that, but his face, you could tell.
Yeah. He meant to say it.
And so she picks up his chainsaw and just cuts the motherfucker in half, which is an awesome scene. And, Jim and his girlfriend are watching this
she
shit.
thoroughly enjoyed that cut, too. She was
That's
really
true.
into it.
Yeah. That's what you get, motherfucker.
I mean, you might as well. You're already chainsawing a guy in half. Might as well enjoy it.
So Jim and his girlfriend, they see this shit. They book it to the high school. They end up spending the night there. Jim has another fucking hallucination. He wakes up alone. Then he finds his girlfriend in the library watching Independent Thinkers, and she is now brainwashed to think that he's the one that's been doing all the killing, and she's afraid of him, doesn't want to go with him, so he bounces and leaves her there. The cops show up. He's, on the run again.
One of 4 cops in this movie, by the way.
And this car chase scene happens, and at this point, we couldn't help but notice, but all of the cop cars had different insignia on it, or none at all. And I don't know, it wasn't a big deal. I just thought it was funny
it didn't change the route of the movie in any bit. But yeah,
to me, it's those subtle
details.
Things that make these B-rated movies for me.
You're right, absolutely. I mean, it's you know what. You learn to appreciate the mishaps and stuff. So I even believe nowadays sometimes I get trying to fill in the blanks and stuff like that. But and back in the days when people didn't really care much, they just wanted to put out this movie. They didn't care what it looked like. They probably did, but they didn't think you would notice certain little things and stuff like that.
The word you're looking for is continuity.
Continuity. There you go.
It's got to look the same all the way through.
Right.
And it doesn't. Because I don't think, it's not intentional. It's just a byproduct of forgetting things, budget. Yeah, I mean, fuck, how many times have we fucked up on this show? You know what I mean?
Hey, trial and error.
Car chase. Jim makes it out. He stole a car out of the auto body shop from the high school. He ends up letting it drive over. He fucking ghost rides it. What's it called? Ghost ride?
Yeah, I'd say that. He ghost rode it over the edge.
He ghost rode it over the edge and fucking took off the other way.
The cops spent 2 seconds to look over the cliff like, oh, it went over. Let's take off. Donut time, boys.
Now,
drinks are on me.
At this point, Jim has kind of come to the conclusion that if you kill the brain, everybody will go back to normal. So that's his goal. So he fucking lets the car go over the cliff. He runs back to PRI. And in that evening, they're shooting another episode. All the zombie public is coming back to be in the audience to watch that shit. He sneaks into the building, and the brain knows that he's there. So the brain starts telling the doctor and Verna, the nurse, hey, he's here. Like, and the doctor's like, hey, Verna, go fucking handle that shit. Don't fail like last time. Murk that fool. And so I don't know if you noticed, but there is a shit ton of chase scenes up and down the staircase. Like, an excessive amount of, like,
I noticed too, and they had to
chasing.
pick one of the fattest actors to just run up
Dude,
and down. That
he
poor
was
fucking
sweating
guy,
going down the stairs.
And he had at least 3 scenes where he's running up them. And it's the same goddamn staircase. It's already
Poor
fucking with you
bastard,
mentally.
man.
But
Poor
you know
bastard.
what? Yeah. I'm telling you, somebody was behind the scenes like, hey, dude, you need to shave off a couple of those LBs and stuff like that. You're going to be running up and down these stairs.
So Jim's running around trying to get to the doctor or the brain to try to fucking put an end to this shit. And he has another hallucination. And it's the same nurse from the beginning that was topless and trying to seduce him. But for some reason in this one, she's explaining to him like, hey, what if I told you the doctor wasn't human? What if I told you that Dr. Blakely wasn't human? And he's like, what? That's fucking weird. And I thought it was weird too, because if the whole point of the hallucination is to get him on their side, why would they be fucking spilling the beans? That was weird to me. But
I don't know if she was part of it though. Well, I mean,
well, then why would they? Why would they use her as a
that's why she was
hallucination?
so easy to, when he told her like maybe we shouldn't work together anymore. So she was so easy to be like, well, that don't. You know.
That's a good point, because she's also dead by this point, right? So
yeah.
So
The
maybe
first,
it's like
first victim of the brain, I think. Actually.
Yeah. Yep.
Yeah. She fell victim to
So
it.
maybe like a guardian angel type thing. So maybe it wasn't so much a hallucination. Maybe it was more like her coming to like
Yeah, I guess you would say that.
save him in that way. Weird.
Yeah. She gave him the heads up, basically. Something. Well, you know what? It's kind of that's interesting to think about, because if you think about it that way, she had it in mind that they were doing opposite of what she wanted. She wanted out of this was to help somebody. It finds out that it is all corrupt and shit like that. Somehow that corruption still existed and still lingered, and therefore eventually made its way to the main character, giving him a little hint of advice. All right. It's weird how that happened, but you know what? It made me think about things a lot. I didn't even think about that aspect, but now I'm thinking about it. Yeah. That was pretty deep.
Well, he's running around. He has a hallucination. He's running around looking for the brain. Ends up on the set where the doctor is hosting another episode, and you can tell the fucking audience is just all in. Jim's parents are there; they're all in. And the doctor's talking shit about Jim and like, oh, he's doing this thing on his own and he's sick. He's in this building. He's murdered people. Maybe he came here to get our help. So like the doctor's trying to spin it in a way where like, we got him. We're going to take care of this for him. More manipulation. Fake news, I'd call it. And I use that term not to be political, but just to kind of make a correlation that's coming up. So Jim comes out on the set. He sees the doctor. He fucking punches him. One punch. And fucking...
One punch.
David Gale's head just flies right off. Just like in Reanimator. Headless in that movie, except in this case, he's not still alive. He's he's dead.
It's funny. He's on the floor. He looks pretty much the same as he did when he was on that little platter and shit. There must have been either an homage to, or maybe he was just like, I've done this before. Trust me. Or no, when he was on Reanimator, because I'm sure this came first, right?
No, the brain came after Reanimator.
Oh, okay. So he's I've been here before.
Yeah.
I've been the head.
So, but it kills him this time, and all this green ooze and guts come flying out. And Jim's like, see, he was an alien. It wasn't me. I didn't do this shit. Believe me. And so the audience is like, they're listening, but they're not really buying it yet. But again, I think that's more about, the brain has control over them,
right?
Than the doctor did.
That goddamn brain.
And so he bounces and keeps running. He finds his girlfriend who's locked up in like a meat locker / refrigerator, which reminiscent of Return of the Living Dead. Again, shout out returnofthelivingdead.com. It's like, dude, I think we're talking about you guys in every fucking episode. Anyways, he gets his girlfriend out of there. They fucking run, and they're going through the basement where all the plumbing is and all that shit. And they're trying to get out, and there's all these signs around. Even earlier in the movie, throughout those other scenes where he's running away, there's all these signs that sodium is in use, right? And we saw him drop a brick of sodium in the toilet earlier in the movie. So my boy over here was like, that sodium's got to pop up later for some other reason.
It seemed too unnatural to think that the element of sodium had nothing to play a role in this when it's been brought up a few times. And I was telling my buddy PG here, I was like, I feel like the sodium has something to do with the ultimate goal in the end. I feel like it has something to do with it. He's like, nah, just watch, you know. I thought that was very clever, by the way, and I just, you know, like, it just seemed too, like, why is sodium getting brought up? There's no logical reason in this movie for it to be brought up unless it's got some kind of reason for it in the end. I just thought I'd add that little tidbit in there, whatever.
Yeah, whatever.
Yeah.
So Jim and his girlfriend are trying to make their way through. The nurse comes back out. Fucking brain pops up out of nowhere, bigger and fucking larger, and
derpier than ever.
Eats the nurse. Takes care of that problem, but still Jim and his girlfriend are on the run. It starts chasing them. They get cornered. He's beating it with like a jar of like pickles or something. I don't know. It's fucking
Throw
weird.
something at it, bounces
an
off the
aerosol
eyeball.
can or something. Yeah, it was super weird. And then Jim finds he's hitting the brain with this big canister of sodium, and he notices the label on the canister, and he says, you know, it says sodium, and he knows what happens when you throw sodium in liquid, I guess, because he threw it in water first, and I don't know what the brain was made out of, and he fucking threw it in the brain's mouth, because it's got eyes and a mouth and the whole thing, and then it explodes, and they're safe, and yeah, that's it.
Pay attention in chemistry class, kids. I goddamn learned a lesson from this movie for sure.
So, fun movie. I mean, again, the special effects were awesome. The makeup was okay. There were some scenes, especially in the end, where the brain explodes and all the blood and chunks and guts go all over the place. But on the back of the sweater of Jim, who's like huddled over his girlfriend, you can totally tell like they took like a ketchup bottle you would get at a rush, not like a proper ketchup bottle, but like in a squeeze tube, and they just like squeeze it on his back, and there's, you know, a couple ropes on there, and they're like, all right, you got guts on you, you're good.
Hey, Ed, Squirt Boy, hey, we need you up here real quick, come on. And he's got the fucking bottle of like green shit, and he's like, I think I got it, guys. It looks good enough.
Oh man,
we'll take that scene.
Some of the things, some of the funnier things about this movie, Jim, the main character, if you watch it, you'll notice his shirt goes from clean. Oh shit! His shirt goes from clean to dirty to clean and back to dirty and clean again. It's fucking weird. The police cars have different insignia on them. Logo
from one side to the other.
On one side, not another side. Just like all the key crucial components of a really good B-rated movie.
Yeah, the stuff that you would only catch. The stuff that you would only catch if you're guys like us. And I assume if you're watching this podcast, that means you. For sure. Overall, I thought it was a great movie.
Yeah? You liked it?
Yeah, I loved it.
Cool. I'm glad.
Yeah, I'm glad we started it out with this. We got two more parts to this. I'm really excited to continue this adventure. We're both excited to continue this adventure.
Horrorpalooza. What'd you call it? Is that what you called it? Horrorpalooza?
No. I called it like Horror-a-thon. This is like a horror-a-thon. Like we're sitting and watching this arc just pan out. All right. This is a whole different thing. It's part of our podcast, but we're just kind of going a different direction and keeping you tuned in, because if you started with this one, you're going to have to follow us through to the end, because we got quite the adventure for you, I'd say. And this is a great idea by my man PG here. He called me one night. He's like, "Hey, I got a great idea for the podcast." And I loved it. It gives it kind of an arc and stuff, and it keeps you guys tuned in, and we'd love to keep you guys tuned in and follow through this. Like one big happy horror family,
All right.
What we're doing right here is more of an appreciation of the art.
So no rating system this time for the 3-part miniseries,
like review or anything like that.
See it or not see it, I guess.
Right.
I definitely see it. It's good. It's a good one.
Give it a shot.
Nothing
Watch
crazy
it with us.
Yeah, totally.
Okay.
Anyways, next one is either going to be Reanimator or Castle Freak.
We're going to go with Castle Freak next.
All right, Matt made the decision. Castle Freak is next. So
we're saving the best for last.
Encourage all the kids out there to go and check it out. Find it where you can. Hit us up. Most of all of our subscribers are personal friends, so text.
We love you guys. Thank you for being involved with this.
Daryl, the Dippy Bird, thank you.
You're amazing. The rest of you, please like and subscribe. This is kind of how we're spinning this. We're just taking off. We're on that shuttle. We're just kind of taking off, and it takes you people to be the power, the fuel that will engage us into the stars. So
see you on the next one. Mutant City Horror. Have a great night.